Well, hello, Twitch. It is now day 11, which means it's December 11. It's really helpful for me to like remember the day of the month, because I just look at the Advent of Code problem and it's like matching with the date. And that will continue for another couple of weeks, after which point I will be totally lost.
Yep. Yeah, 2022 will be a brave new world.
Yeah, it'll just be Lord of the Flies.
Did you see the great advent calendar tweet that was like, I went to the grocery store and asked for the battle pass of chocolate?
Chocolate Battle Pass. I saw that. It's really good. So today's Advent of Code stream is a special one, or it's the first non-special one, because it actually has Dom of Jeff and Dom fame.
I am on the channel logo. Yeah.
Yes, he's half the logo, but we're not in the same time zone, et cetera, et cetera. We're not necessarily writing code at the same time, but hopefully this is the first of many Advent of Code streams that we can do together.
Hell yeah.
And it'll now, surely if one person is bad at Rust, having two people is going to make it even better, right?
What could possibly go wrong?
Two people run faster than one, right?
This is going to be a real three-legged race of Rust. Certainly no tripping.
Yes. I'm totally thrilled. I'm excited for it.
This will be fun, yeah.
Okay, so Dom, how much do you remember about the format? You did a little bit of this last year, right?
I think I got through I did the first week last year. Yeah, I remember the format. It's like a daily problem, 9 p.m. Pacific. They kind of build on each other, but like not really.
Yeah.
I feel like they just sort of like escalate in complexity.
Correct. Yes. So far we haven't been hit by anything super gnarly yet.
Cool.
But if today is the day, at least I'm coming in with backup, right? The kind of like theme inside of a theme for this year is that you're writing a submarine, because you're collecting some MacGuffin for Santa. I think the MacGuffin are like keys to doors.
It's not like the thing they dropped off the ship in Titanic. We're not rescuing the necklace for Santa or something.
Oh, are we doing like retrieval and salvage for a rich old woman?
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
Yeah, it is Kate Winslet though, so maybe we should just do it.
I would.
All right, I'm into it. Okay. I'll go ahead and just read the prompt, just so we're on the same page, roughly. Today's problem is called Dumbo Octopus. I'm already on board. Good marketing. You enter a large cavern full of rare bioluminescent Dumbo octopuses. What is a Dumbo octopus? Got to click on the link. Oh,
I'm really glad they linked this.
Oh, these are adorable.
That is an exceptionally cute little creature. Is it? So wait. Is it also? Oh, because it flaps its ears.
Yeah. There you go.
Wow.
That looks like a jellyfish. If you told me that was an octopus, I'd be like, really?
What the fuck? Yeah.
What a strange creature. But unlike elephants, they die. They die very quickly.
They do forget. They forget in 3 to 5 years, unlike elephants.
Yeah. Octopi are supposed to be very smart. That's why people don't really eat them, or people I know don't really eat them anymore.
Yeah, I know a lot of pescatarians who are like, I'm good with everything but octopus, which like kind of makes sense. Like they can open doors and they remember shit.
Did you watch my Octopus Teacher, that Netflix movie?
No, I was a little afraid they'd eat the octopus at the end.
The octopus, spoiler alert, does die over the course of the making of the film.
Yeah, that checks out.
But
is it worth it? Should I watch it?
Yeah, it's a weird, like he has like almost a pseudo romantic relationship with the octopus. Okay. But it's done in a poetic enough way that it kind of sells, at least while you're watching it.
I'm for it. That sounds entertaining.
Yeah. Okay. Dom's all about free love. Love who you want.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, look, if the octopus is smart enough not to eat, I don't know. Maybe it can fall in love with a person. Who knows? Yes. I've seen weirder shit.
What's the weirder shit that you've seen?
Yeah, I'm not sure I've seen weirder shit.
Okay, carrying forward. Dumbo octopuses. They seem to not like Christmas lights on your submarine, so you turn them off for now. There are 100 octopuses arranged neatly in a 10 by 10 grid. One thing I will say as an aside is that Advent of Code is like surprisingly good game dev practice because there's a lot of like simulation stuff. There's a lot of like spatial reasoning stuff. Each octopus slowly gains energy over time and flashes brightly for a moment when its energy is full. Although your lights are off, maybe you can navigate through the cave without disturbing the octopuses if you could predict when the flashes of light will happen. Each octopus has an energy level. Your submarine can remotely measure the energy level of each octopus, which is your puzzle input. For example, okay, there's a bunch of lines with a bunch of numbers on them. The energy level of an octopus is a value between 0 and 9. Here, the top left octopus has an energy level of 5. The bottom right has an energy level of 6, and so on. So this is a 5. That is a 6. You can model the energy levels and flashes of light in steps. During a single step, the following occurs. First, the energy level of each octopus increases by 1. Then any octopus with an energy level greater than 9 flashes. This increases the energy level of all adjacent octopuses by 1, including octopuses that are diagonally adjacent. If this causes an octopus to have an energy level greater than 9, it also flashes. This process continues as long as new octopuses keep having their energy level increased beyond 9. An octopus can only flash at most once per step. Finally, any octopus that flashed during the step has its energy level set to 0 as it used all of its energy to flash. Adjacent flashes can cause an octopus to flash on a step, even if it begins that step with very little energy. Considering the middle octopus with 1 energy in this situation. So that's this one here. After step 1, all 1, 2, 3, 8 octopi around it flash. Wait, did it? Oh, after step 1.
So it starts at 1. It's surrounded by 8, so it increments 1 and gets 8 pluses. And then also flashes itself.
Correct. Yes.
And so this is interesting because I was thinking it would loop earlier, but the center one flashing doesn't make the ring around it go to 1 on this step. They actually all increment past 9 and then down to 0.
Did you ever write up Conway's Life program?
I was gonna say this reminds me a lot of Game of Life. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a lot like Conway's Game of Life. Yeah.
It's a different algorithm.
The chain reaction part of it is the curveball, which makes it more interesting, right?
Yeah.
An octopus is highlighted when it flashed during the given step. Here's how. Oh, by the way, I wanted to ask you because I was musing on this in a previous Advent of Code stream. How are they doing the kind of like bloomy highlights in this?
That's a great question.
I wasn't able to figure it out, so I thought I would ask you, the CSS master, right?
Yeah, they kind of have it on all links, don't they? That's nice.
It's just, I guess it's just their emphasis. Is it? Oh, it's a white shadow.
It's a white text shadow. Yeah.
CSS has a thing. It has a thing.
Yeah, white text shadow, no offset, very, very high. Whatever the third parameter is, like diffusion or something. That's clever. That looks good.
Yeah. Here's how the larger example above progresses. Okay, so they have some examples here, and so on and so forth, right? After step 10, there have been a total of 204 flashes. Fast forwarding, here's the same configuration every 10 steps. And a bunch of examples, right? After 100 steps, there have been a total of 1,656 flashes. Given the starting energy levels of the dumb octopuses in your cavern, simulate 100 steps. How many total flashes are there after 100 steps?
Cool.
I have the feeling that part 2 of this. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was about to ask, is there a part 2? Great.
There is a part 2. So part 2 is either going to give you a large enough number that you have to make sure that you write this in an efficient way. And I have sort of an intuition of what efficient means. Either that or part 2, the number of steps is going to be so high that what we actually have to do is find a pattern. Right?
That sounds hard. That sounds quite hard.
That sounds quite hard. In fact, I don't think you can do it with Game of Life. I think Game of Life is a cellular automata problem where they've demonstrated that you can't come up with like a formula that predicts game of life in general. Like you can't plug an input of game of life into a mathematical formula and then say if t equals 1,000, then you'll have this many alive and this many dead. I think you have to just run the simulation.
Cool. And I assume it doesn't loop or anything. That would be probably too easy. Let's see input.
There have been advent of code problems like this that basically involve finding the loop, like how many times does this loop, and then figuring that out. Those I'm particularly bad at. Okay, so this is our input.
Cool.
I've got day 10 already set up here, so we'll go ahead and just like copy this in.
Nice.
Yes, there we go. Do I have other stuff open? It just feels kind of chuggy right now on my computer. I don't know what it is.
Need an ice pack? You're not even on Unity.
It's not super warm right now.
Oh.
I think it might just be that I'm zoomed in. Okay. All right. So how do we want to represent this? Probably like vector of integers.
Is there? Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think if there's like any use to having cells know about their neighbors, but we can actually just write a quick function that is an easy accessor to that. So
yeah, you know how I was saying I sort of have an intuition of how you can make it more efficient for larger implementations of game of life. It helps to just have like you keep a list of who's on and who's off, right? And then and then it was basically like you're saying, like is there an easy way to access neighbors? I think in this case, figuring out who your neighbors are is like simple arithmetic, right? It doesn't require you to like iterate over anything, because as long as you know your row and column, I think you can just do simple arithmetic to figure that out.
Exactly. I was trying to think if we needed to actually have some sort of associative structure, but this is pretty straightforward in 10 by 10.
Oh, you actually remind me of a question. When they say adjacent octopuses, what do they mean by adjacent?
They're talking about the 8 squares around one octopus.
So adjacent includes a diagonal one, is what?
Yeah. They were really explicit about diagonally adjacent. So every flash touches 8 nodes.
Yeah, including diagonally adjacent. Well, I missed that detail. A previous problem had a similar grid structure, and the adjacent did not include the diagonals. So it's good that we call that out.
Oh man, that's how they're gonna fuck with you on this one. Okay.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah, they'll keep giving you different grids with different constraints.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just get this into a vector, right?
Sweet. Yeah.
It's gonna be a vec of let's just say I64. Okay. We don't need a full 32-bit number here. Really, we just need an 8-bit number, right? Maybe I8 is fine. And we're gonna
one bracket short.
Thank you. Yeah. We're gonna see if I can't just do this in one giant dot chain. We'll see if we can get it. Getting
Very
an input.
Rusty. Yep.
So the result of this will be a vector of
familiar.
Yeah. The result of this will be a vector of I8s, which means that inside the map we need to generate like one vec I8 for every single line, right?
Yeah.
So we get a line here, and then I think for this, we're doing line dot chars. Right.
And then do we map it again into I8s?
We do a map, and this is the char, and I think there's a 2 ASCII 2 digit. The radix is 10 because it's a base 10 number. And this is giving me a U32. So first of all, I want to unwrap it. 2 digit can possibly fail. And rather than throwing exceptions, they return like result objects that have like an okay or an error version. Unwrap basically says if it's an error, panic. And in this case, I think panicking is fine, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And let's just force cast it to I8, and maybe it's going to consider this to be unsafe. I don't know.
So is that is casting, does as do a conversion, or is it just a type annotation like in TypeScript? Is it actually going to like coerce it into that value?
This is actually going to do a coercion, I think.
Okay, cool.
It's not complaining so far, but I think it might do, at least in non-release builds, it might actually do a runtime check to say like if it's out of bounds, panic.
Okay, cool.
And then over here, we're going to do another collect. Okay, so does that sort of make sense? What happened there?
Yeah, that does. It's very. I can really tell that a bunch of Rubyists made this language.
I think Steve is heavily involved. Yehuda Katz at some point as well.
Yep. Yeah, both of them. Beautiful.
Let me just make sure.
As I say, I want to like
1326.
And it ends with 1522. Yep.
Okay. I'm reasonably satisfied with that. So now we actually have to write our simulation. So we're just going to run 100 steps, right? So it's for whatever in 0 to 100. Dot dot here means not including the last number, and then dot dot equals is including the last number.
Okay, great.
So you know how in Ruby there was like a kind of like
I was gonna say
really know which was
The
which.
2 dots, 3 dots, yeah.
Can never remember. I think 3 dots is non-inclusive. Is that right?
I couldn't tell you because it's a really bad interface.
Okay. So we're gonna run it 100 times, and then we have to count the number of flashes, right? So we're probably gonna have like a thing here equals 0. And in fact, we probably want the grid to be mutable as well, right? Because we're going to be writing into it, updating the values. So is the first thing that we do iterating over all of the grid and determining and just like adding 1 to the energy?
The first thing we do is +1 to everything.
Okay.
I guess doing this in a doubly nested loop, we are memory efficient here, right? We're just going to be modifying this in place the whole way through.
We're going to be modifying this in place. That's right.
Instead of
I was about to do a for row in grid.iterator, but you can't. I think I might be able to do iter mute to get like a mutable iterator. Okay, for call in row dot iter mute again. And then
why does that need to be a? Is that because you can't iterate over a mutable?
I think what happens is when you iterate over a grid, the iterator becomes an object with a pointer to the grid, which means you have borrowed the grid, like the whole thing, that whole chunk of memory. You've borrowed it immutably, which means that in the inside of your inner loop, you can't write to the grid at that point.
Gotcha.
But iter mute basically gives you a mutable chunk of memory to work with.
Cool.
And then the similar thing inside each row as well.
We've got a mutable I8. Okay, cool. Gosh, that's safe. Yeah. Delightful.
Yeah, the other way we could have done this is just use indices. We could have gotten like the height and width, and there we wouldn't have an iterator at that point, or the iterator wouldn't need to borrow the actual vector itself. Right.
Yeah, this feels like the rusty pattern though. I like it.
Yeah.
Rusty has such an awful way to describe code. Like,
I think rusty is it, or
rustful.
idiomatic rustful.
Rustful, yeah.
Into it. Okay, so this is just like add energy.
I just want to take this over to Unity and like animate this now.
A lot of people do, actually. I think the thing to do now is not only to finish the advent of code puzzles like really quickly, it's to create cool animations and then also to format your code in an ASCII shape that looks like an octopus or something like that, or a submarine.
God, that's monstrous. I love
People really enjoy programming. I enjoy programming enough to do this, but not enough to do anything else, do anything more over and above. I'm sticking strictly with the plan.
That's so funny. Wow, that's intense. Good for them.
So now we want to process the flashes, right? And the flashes almost makes me think that we should have a queue or a stack or a list somehow of these things.
I was going to say, on line 18, as you go through, do we want to collect a list of what is 9 and up? Yeah. It's just 9, right?
I think it's 0 or 10 that we're looking for.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Anything greater than 9. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. And this is just like U size. It's a coordinate, right?
Yep.
And this is tuple right there. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. I love it.
And then what we can do is we can add an enumerate here, which, speaking of tuples,
oh shit,
gives us this.
This is such like Ruby.
Yes, it's like a Ruby. What's the Ruby one?
Each with index.
Each with index. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to add the dot enumerate over here.
Honestly, I find that comforting. Like, good for them.
If call is greater than 9, we're pushing onto the back of this, right?
Yep.
And let's do row column, I's and J's.
Okay.
And I don't have to put parentheses around if statements and for statements. And it complains to me every single time I do it. And of course I do it every single time because we've been doing so much C# and TypeScript.
Yep.
Yeah. So now we need to handle the flashes, right? So here's the funny thing: is that we're probably going to be adding on to the end of this list, right? Because
we're gonna be enqueuing new flashes as we go because we're gonna do the 8 surrounding things and check for new flashes.
You're way ahead of me, Dom. Cool. So I'm gonna use this data structure. This is a vector double-ended queue.
Oh, fuck yeah!
And this will let us like pop off the front and push onto the back while we're iterating over it, right?
Dude, Rust is like cheating for this. I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. The standard library is good. It doesn't have regular expressions built into it, so that can be sometimes a problem for parsing stuff.
I remember that last year, yeah, having to like bring in the regex library and learn those docs very well. But like, it was a good library.
One of the things that people are really, I think, are really doing well with is like doing. They use NumPy. They use Python, and like I think that's NumPy has a lot of like useful algorithms for this type of stuff as well. Okay, so I think what we're actually doing now is while the flash list is not empty, right? We are going to get an I and a J.
Wait, sorry, quick question. Like since we're using the double-ended queue, is there not an iterator for that? Because I feel like while length greater than 0 would have worked with the previous data structure. Because we want to be in a loop that's mutating itself, right? Yeah,
you are right. I think the double-ended queue, the only thing it's giving us is first in, first out behavior. Okay. I don't know if first and first out matters.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So should we just use the regular vector if that's gonna be less confusing?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. Unless there's a cool iterator we got to use, but yeah.
Yeah, there really isn't. It's really just I don't think ordering matters here. So let's go ahead and condense this down to one line.
That is,
what is
I mean, essentially, oh, weird.
Unnecessary braces. Okay.
I was gonna say, I was trying to
pop.
reason through my head if there was a reason that we would have to worry about the order, but I think the addition is always the same, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what we want to do though? We want to make sure that we don't flash the same thing twice. Which if I could see a cycle where we like 1 goes to 9 and it triggers its neighbor, or 1 goes to 10, triggers its neighbor to 10, which will also increment the original flasher. And without a careful algorithm, we would re-add it to our queue, which would be bad.
So we need to set everybody who flashed to 0 at some point, right? And we're going to probably it's here that's where we're going to do it. So we could also we could use the grid as essentially, we could sort of reuse it as the list of things that have flashed this round, because everything that will have a value of 0 will have already been processed as
okay.
flashed.
Yeah. So if we see a 0, we don't increment. Yeah. I like that at this phase, because we've only incremented zeros on line 19. Yep. Yeah. Okay. That's the right answer.
Okay. All right. So we want to basically iterate over all of the neighbors. Is that right?
Yep.
I find that it can be useful to actually have a function that returns the list of neighbors.
I was going to
say, we don't know do we know the length and width right now? We don't, right? Maybe we should just have that available. It's just 10. Maybe we just hard code that. How's that?
I was going to say, I'm fine hard coding it. I wonder if the next problem is going to give us a more interesting size or something as well, but let's just stick with 10.
And this is going to be a vector of u size.
Mm-hmm. Do we need a new vector to collect them in?
I wonder if this is just going to be better if we just have a bunch of if statements, like 8 if statements. Is that weird?
I guess is the thing you're trying to check that neither of these values is going to be inside or outside the grid?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like at least 4 if statements, right? No.
You have to check.
It's just 2. Yeah.
Is it 2 or 4?
It's 2 because it's like if.
We put one here, right? If I
plus di. It's the double. It's the if with like it's
I
0
plus
less
di. So we want an I as I32, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plus di is less than 0. We continue.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll have a similar thing for j here, right?
Well, it's less than 0 and greater than 10 here, right? I was gonna say just drop them both into the same if statement.
Yeah. So this is actually what would we call the resulting I? But current I? It's a little awkward. Mm-hmm. But so you're basically saying if current I is less than 0, or current I, or rather the width, which is 10, is less than or equal to current I.
Yep.
Continue. And I don't need the braces. It's complaining because I don't have a return value down here. So why don't I just return res?
Yep. Nice.
And this is current j, right?
Mm-hmm.
You mangy cur.
Yeah, I think this is clear enough.
Okay, great. Res.push current I, current J. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah.
Cool. I like it. And it is complaining here because I32, I32. So I need to actually cast these back to U sizes.
Yeah.
And I think there's a reasonable guarantee that they will be just U sizes, right? That's what these if statements are essentially guaranteeing.
Yeah. What is a U size?
A U size is what you can use to index into an array.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess I was curious what the actual thing was. It looks like it says it's just a U32 with a nice name. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know if U32 and U size are interchangeable though. I think you actually have to like intentionally cast between them.
I would expect not, which I think is probably for a whole bunch of platform safety things that are very clever.
Yeah. Okay, so we got a function that gives us our neighbors, right? So now the neat thing we can do with that is we can say for the neighbor I and neighbor J in the neighbors of I and J, right?
Did it just write your code for you?
It kind of did. It was pretty amazing.
Is it?
I don't have GitHub
like,
Copilot on or anything like that. I just knew.
Did it? It's like you're about to put a function here that takes 2 U size parameters and you've got 2 in scope. What?
Well, I and J are also the names of the arguments. So
okay.
who can truly know, Dom? Who knows?
All right. This is a little too smart, but fine. I'm with it.
Yeah. It's not smart enough to realize that I'm using I and J though, right? Because
yeah, that's kind of weird actually.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So if the neighbors are there, I think first thing I want to do is we want to check to see if it's flashed. Already my mind is going into the gutter. I think of a guy running around in a trench coat. Has my neighbor flashed me?
Cute octopuses only.
Okay.
They're extremely
Keep your
adorable.
head on straight.
I don't know if they're bioluminescent or not.
Oh, I mean, I guess that's what we're talking about here. Or are you saying are Dumbo octopuses themselves bioluminescent?
I don't think those in particular are, but there are many bioluminescent octopi.
Yes, I can believe that.
These are pretty cool. Okay.
If grid Ni and J is equal to 10 or equal to 0 if it's already flashed, right?
Yeah.
We skip. Otherwise, grid Ni and J plus equals 1. And then if this, copy didn't take.
Greater than
equal to is greater than 9. Is that
greater
what we're
than 9,
going for? We're going to say that it equals 0, right?
No, we're going to say the current node equals 0. If it's greater than 9, we put it on the flash queue.
Yeah.
So this is another interesting problem, which is in the example they gave us, this will push something onto the flash queue that's already queued up to flash. If it had a neighbor that was 9, or sorry, a neighbor that was 10, and it's incremented it.
So
this would push it twice if we'd already.
We would need to ignore it if it's 10 up here, right?
Yeah. Or just if it's greater than, yeah.
Did we do equal to 10 here? It's great. We're using greater than 9 as the kind of like you're flashing kind of thing.
Yep, I think that's right. Okay. So if it's 0 or it's greater than 9, we do nothing. Otherwise we plus. If it's greater than 9, we push. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and this will ensure that if we've already pushed it on the list, it'll be skipped.
I think we can assert that like by this point, like since we've handled all 9s before this, and we're only going to handle new 9s going forward, this is fine. Yeah. And I don't want to like check the list for uniqueness or something. That sounds really wasteful.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing we could do is like create like a little hash set at the top, like the top of this loop, this 0 to 100 loop. But you know what? I think we're good. I think this is going to work. And then I think the final thing we need to do, we actually need to set ourselves
to
zero at any time, really, right? We could do it up here if we wanted to. Is that right? And I actually thought of something that we haven't done yet.
Flashes.
So first of all, we set ourselves to 0, right?
And we also do flashes plus equal 1 there. It's basically our moment.
Sorry, can you say that one more time?
Oh, our counter. We increment our counter. Which did we name it the same?
We did name it the same. What do we want to call this? Should we just call this like the queue?
Flash queue. Yeah, I mean, queue is fine.
Flashes to process? Okay, let's just use queue. It's not really a queue, it's a stack, but whatever. And now with this name, it's super clear that it's a queue whose ordering doesn't really matter, right? The thing that I was about to say before that we did not do is we did not check 0, 0, right?
Didn't check 0, 0.
If di equals 0 and dj equals 0.
Yeah, continue. Right, we'd be reinserting ourselves every time.
Exactly, yeah. Now it's columns. No, this is rows.
Rows, right? Rows. I as rows.
Okay. So do you think we've done it?
I think actually we might have just done it. That's pretty darn close. You want to run it?
I'm going to run it. 1749. I mean, seems roughly in the right order of magnitude. If the example was like 1600.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, it's always very satisfying when you get it right the first time. I feel like it doesn't.
I was gonna say you didn't even run that code past printing the input. I'm impressed. Rust, I really like the Rust tool chain that we got here.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Oh no. Okay.
Okay. It seems like the individual flashes aren't bright enough to navigate. However, you might have a better option. The flashes seem to be synchronizing. In the step above, the first time all octopuses flash simultaneously is step 195.
Huh. Okay. So what? There's 193. Uh-oh.
If you can calculate the exact moments when the octopuses will all flash simultaneously, you should be able to navigate through the cavern. What is the first step during which all octopuses flash? I guess we could just run until we get 100, but it could be a while. Let's see.
Right. Like, do we want to do a count per step, basically? And then add that to flashes at the end?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. That seems... Let's start with that, but I want to see if I can come up with something better. Oh, right. Time to copy the directory into B.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry, I'm fighting the Zoom overlay here.
No, all good. You can hide that.
I just did. Oh my gosh.
Nice.
Huge relief. Whew.
As soon as you hit escape, it comes back with a vengeance. So
I'll be careful. I won't be careful. It's gonna happen like in 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. It turns out you use escape a lot.
Yeah. The other thing I need to make sure I do is reload VS Code. The reason why is for some reason when I create a new directory, the language services don't seem to pick it up.
Interesting. Cool.
All right. So I think what you were saying is step flashes is this, right? And we're just saying step flashes is here. And then, oh, actually, yes. Okay. So, and then we're saying if step flashes is equal to 100, then we're going to print out the current step that we're on.
So we got to count the step too. Yeah.
And then we're done.
And we're only running this 100 times. So actually we need to continue until we get to that.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to say let mute step equals, what are they calling the first step?
I think they're calling
0
it
or
step
1.
0. Let's see. They say after step 1.
Okay.
So our data is step 0 and we're starting at 1.
So what if I did step 0 and I incremented here?
I think that's right. Yeah.
And if we print the step name at the very end, then this is going to be after, right?
Mm-hmm. Is loop in Rust just it loops forever?
It loops forever. This is for while true or for nothing, right?
That's handy. Yeah. Yeah. What is this print?
And then this doesn't matter anymore, right? We're not using
no more flashes.
$285. That ran so quickly, I'm suspicious. But it shouldn't take that long to run 285 steps. It's just, I thought it was going to be like, oh my God. I thought it was going to go to like 1 billion and we'd have to like come up with some like mathematical relationship.
Yeah. Well, I think we wrote a fairly, I can't think of a much more efficient way to do what we just did. Like it's pretty space and time minimal. We're touching every node exactly as many times as we need to and like ignoring them as fast as possible. So
yeah, there might be some micro optimizations where we're kind of referencing the same value a few times, but I'm sure the compiler knows to do this, right? The compiler knows to like put this in a temporary and then add one to the temporary and then store the temporary into the grid and then just compare it to the temporary. I'm sure it's not like looking it up. Like there's like kind of like nitty gritty things at the level of the CPU that it could be probably optimized, but you're right. I think this is like, we're not allocating anywhere, right?
No, and like, yeah, I think like, yeah, I've trained myself not to think about variable assignments that are like into primitives or sorry, accessors into primitives. Like it's not like a method call to read out of a database or something.
Yeah, and then this thing is like what 100 bytes. I guess if we made this an array, it'd be faster because a vec of a vec, you actually have like a vec of 10 pointers. Whereas if we made
we could have done it. We could have done a long 100-unit array and had our neighbors function index into that too.
And like that is like a tiny piece of a whole cache line. Like it would be really fast that way. I'm actually curious to know what the period size is, right? Like if this is the first time it happens, what's the next time it happens?
Do it. Just don't hit return and let it go. Or sorry,
infinite loops. Oh,
so wait. So once it does everything, isn't it every 10 steps?
Oh, you're right. Sync. You're absolutely right. Yeah. It is it's just every 10 steps. Yeah.
Cute.
Well, dude, that was good. I feel like 2 heads were better than 1 in this case.
This is fast.
This was really fast.
Well, I got time tomorrow then. I was expecting like 2 hours of this.
I was expecting 2 hours as well. I was expecting something that would have been really gnarly. And then once the thing that compounds a gnarly problem is the borrow checker, right? Like once you start like doing gnarly problems, then you start getting confused by the borrow checker because you're doing something complicated with the data structure. And so so any gnarly problem is like 4 times as hard as opposed to just being 2 times as hard.
Well, I'm game tomorrow, so
okay, it's gonna rain tomorrow, so it's a house day anyways for me.
Sweet.
Not that every day isn't a house day, just because like I don't really get out.
Because we're in a panini. So someone Kat pointed out to me on Twitter that people are saying we're in a P word instead of pandemic to avoid like anti-COVID censorship methods. Like they're trying to avoid the things that are blocking like pandemic related misinformation. So people are saying like, oh yeah, so we're still in the panini, or we're still in the Panera bread, or we're still in the personal pan pizza.
It reminds me of how anti-vax people talk about vaccinated people as dancers and vaccines as glitter. Only it sounds like this is just using the same tool for the opposite thing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like if you want to talk about without ending up, it's apparently like a lot of social media services are shadow banning you or shadow banning pandemic posts kind of just in general, which like kind of makes sense.
I guess. It seems weird. I don't know.
It's a big hammer to hit that problem with, but
yeah.
I really enjoy that it's an inside day because we're still in a panini. So I'm just gonna start saying that.
Well, happy 500th day of the panini, Dominic DeGrati.
Is it the 500th? No,
I don't know. It feels like it's been a while. Well, I don't know, man. Like, think about it. Like, it's almost 2 calendar years, right? It was like we're maybe 3 or 4 months short of that. So 500 is not far off.
Boy, right? If you type into Google how many days since March, all the suggestions are March 13th, 2020, March 16th, 2020, March 11th, 2020. That's rough.
And so what's the answer?
638 days since March 13th, 2020.
Days.
Whoops. Real fun. We're doing good.
But it's a panini. Paninis are good, right?
Paninis are really
hot,
good.
Steamed insides with melty cheese.
I love good panini. Yeah. I might go make one for dinner right now.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, I'm good tomorrow. I'm actually, let's see, I'm gonna watch a football game, but I'll be free by 4. So
nice.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's a big F1 race too. I don't know if you're into F1, but
no, are you into F1?
Not really, but I'm adjacent to people that are into F1, and so therefore I kind of aware of it. And
cool.
It's come down the championship has come down to the very last race, which is very very rare.
Oh, interesting. Like the positions aren't actually determined yet for who wins the season. That's fun.
Exactly. Speaking of football, I have been consuming like think piece basketball videos where they kind of like break down plays and stuff like that. And so much of like, I think sophisticated basketball analysis is about screens, which is when you essentially like basketball predominantly has like a man-on-man defense scheme, right? But then like a lot of what it is to try to get the person with the ball open so they can shoot or pass or make a play, right?
Yep.
And so
that makes sense.
A screen is when a person without the ball, basically stands on a part of the court and the person with the ball handler, runs by you so that the person who's defending them runs into the guy that's standing still.
Really?
Yeah. So a lot of it is
very high contact.
Yes. And I think I've always made the comment that I don't really understand basketball very well. Like it's exciting when there's an alley-oop dunk or something like that, but like that's about as much as I understand it. But I think it's because I don't watch football, because football is a lot about watching the blocking, right? And about like
football is about making holes, and like you have a lot of plays depend on who's blocking who and sort of how you feint where someone's going to be so that they like their man coverage or their zone coverage like gets tripped up.
See, when I watch football, all I really watch is the quarterback and the running back, right?
Yep.
But when you watch football, like, do you ever watch the defense and what the defense is doing?
Oh yeah, a lot of time. Yeah.
Okay. And so I realized maybe if I watched more football, I would have a better appreciation of basketball, because
quite possible. Yeah. I was not aware that it was like that sort of blocking strategy, but that makes a lot of sense and would be more interesting.
It's incredibly layered. Sometimes you'll do what's called a stagger screen, where you run the defender through 2 screens rather than 1. Or maybe you're screening for somebody who doesn't have the ball because they're cutting or they're trying to get open for a shot. Like if you're Steph Curry, a big part of Steph Curry's game is him trying to get open when he doesn't have the ball, so that when the ball is delivered to him, he can just fire up a shot and make it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Weird.
So I need to watch more football is the lesson of this.
You kind of made me want to watch some basketball. I hear someone's going to try to purchase the New Orleans Pelicans with a Dow, so maybe that'll.
Oh, really? And are they going to move it to Seattle, or are they going to keep it in New Orleans?
Well, I think they're going to keep it in New Orleans, but I think the Dow is not even close to getting enough money to do it.
I think you need like $100 billion, right? It's pretty expensive.
Closer to like $1.5 billion. Yeah.
Oh, I was off by 2 orders of magnitude.
Yeah, that's how much an NBA team is worth. Apparently, is like $1.5 billion is the cheap team, which like
that seems like a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it does.
If I was a billionaire, I would consider buying an NBA team. That'd be fun.
I think that's why Jeff Bezos owns one. Yeah.
It's so funny. He does? Wait.
Yeah, didn't he buy an NBA team?
I thought he bought like a soccer team, right?
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. He could buy all 30 NBA teams. Good God.
Jeff Bezos sports team. He seems like too much of a dweeb. He has been floated as a potential buyer for the LA Chargers. San Diego Superchargers. Do you remember that song?
No. San Diego Superchargers?
There's a whole theme song. I can't play for you right now because I don't have I can share my audio, I guess.
You know what I'm probably thinking is that Ballmer owns the Los Angeles Clippers.
He does. Ballmer's a weird dude.
He's a weird dude.
Steve Ballmer, weird celebration. NBA.
Oh no.
Is there going to be a GIF? All right, I've stood by for too long.
No, I think it's there you go. Steve. No, Steve, no. They're trying to stop him. They're like, please don't touch him. Honestly, wow,
that's like insanely weird, right? That is.
It's pretty weird.
Yeah.
He's always struck me as an extremely wholesome, awkward dude, though. And that's kind of like too weird to know that it's weird. Like, yeah, did he know that was weird? I'm not sure.
He was just he was just hyped up, and he's an awkward guy.
Yeah, I actually quite like him. I think he's a funny dude. I'm sure there's plenty of reasons to cancel him, but
sure. I guess what you're saying is like among tech billionaires, you would rank Steve Ballmer up there.
Yeah, I'd probably enjoy getting to experience 30 minutes of Steve Ballmer versus like I'd want to claw my eyes out around Jeff Bezos or something.
Yeah.
But like it's a low bar.
Where is Steve Jobs in your brain?
I mean, he was kind of an abusive asshole. I think he'd probably be really fun to like, I don't know, go to a concert with.
Yeah, if I could hang out with any tech billionaire in history, I would hang out with Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
I think he's just like super intense, and like it would be very interesting. I don't think he'd be a fun dude to be around, but like for an hour, I would definitely see.
I wouldn't want to do anything tech related with him, but like, yeah, I feel like I'd go to Burning Man with Steve Jobs. That'd be fun. That would be a true experience. I bet he'd have a great time.
You would eat a meal and composed entirely of carrots with Steve Jobs.
I would.
That was apparently his thing.
Yeah.
He's just like, I have the food of the month is the broccoli, and like
he's just broccoli. What I find so weird and ironic is that he's like the progenitor of like do your own research that we're experiencing now, where he was just like, I just eat fruit. It's good for you. I figured it out myself.
It'll cure my cancer, right? I think he denied.
It killed him. Absolutely killed him.
You know who else was like that? Was Bob Marley, who died
of a
tumor that started in his toe, weirdly.
Oh no.
And then he died.
Oh, Bob.
Of cancer. Bob Marley, Steve Jobs. Of a similar generation, I think. So I think it makes sense. Yeah.
And I feel like they were both total weirdos who totally thought that they could probably like cure cancer and or cure cancer twice with weird diets and marijuana, I'm sure. And don't think it worked.
Yeah.
Tragic.
I don't know. They both had good lives ultimately. So
I was gonna say they lived more in their 50 years than I expect to in my lifetime, because those two did some shit.
All right. Well, speaking of doing shit, let's go play video games. Where are you gonna go play?
I'm either gonna go play the blockchain, or maybe a little Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Nice.
I also did fire off Space Warlord Organ Simulator, and it's pretty fun.
How much is that game?
I have Game Pass for till February for $1. So right now it's $1 for me.
Oh, you have Game Pass. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the way to do Game Pass. It's like I'm probably gonna get HBO Max for like a month so I can watch Succession, and then I'm just gonna summarily cancel it. This game looks pretty fun.
It's my biggest sort of gripe. I mean, it's pretty fun. It makes you read and click really fast. It like is trying it's trying to simulate like high pressure trading,
like high frequency trading or something like that. Day trader,
because
daytrader.com.
there's other
yeah.
you're day trading organs, and there's other organ traders who come and like buy the organs you're trying to buy for like the orders you're trying to fulfill.
Yeah. The voiceover
which
in
is
this trailer is really funny.
It's really funny. Yeah. Also, like I keep getting like Nigerian print scams from aliens, and you just have to like reject them.
Oh.
It's good. I don't know if I'd have paid
Chad
$15 for it.
Is this his profile pic? Is that what?
Absolutely, his profile pic. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice.
There's also a great one of the profile pics is like you can just be like Locutus of Borg, which is pretty fun. He's in there somewhere.
Oh man. Okay, good. Well, go play this or Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Okay. What are you gonna do? What you playing?
I'm getting close to being done with Desperados 3, which means
nice.
I could buy. They just released an expansion pack to Shadow Tactics.
I saw that.
It's 10% off now. So instead of paying $20, I could pay $18.
All right.
How
did Desperados 3 live up to Shadow Tactics?
Not as good. Still the same crack.
Okay.
It's just like you're gonna water down my crack. I'm still gonna take the crack. You know what I mean?
Yep, that makes sense. Nice.
But I kind of want to play. I think what I really want is like a turn my brain off, giant, epic story game RPG. I want like another Witcher 3 in my life. I don't know if it's quite time yet for Cyberpunk 2077. I feel like I need to wait like a year.
You've got a PS5. I'm gonna wait for the native version because it's still running emulated.
You know, it was being sold. The Blu-ray was being sold for $10 at Target in Walnut Creek.
Oh my god!
You get a free upgrade once the PS5 version comes out, and I was like literally trying to say like, is it worth it for me to drive to Walnut Creek to spend $10 on Cyberpunk 2077 when I'm not even gonna play it for like the next probably 4 or 5 months, right? They still need to like actually release the native PS5 version, which still might be like way worse than the PC version, and maybe I should just suck it up and get the PC version, right?
Did you download the Matrix demo, by the way? The Unreal.
You mentioned it when I was out on my errand, and then when I got back from my errand, it
looks so much better than Cyberpunk. Like,
I mean, it's got that whole like full-on desktop OS in it.
Oh, I mean that's just the menus, but like I mean like the driving and the city, it just like it has such a it's got a whole open world, like you can drive around. There's no game. It's like 10 minutes a game. But
did you actually play it?
Yeah, it's a free download.
This content is locked. That's what I imagined it saying to me. I just heard it in my head. You know what I mean? Like it's
I love that it shouts at you. No, it's like it's worth the download for the 5 minutes. It also lets you turn on and off a bunch of debug render settings in Unreal Engine 5, which you will get a kick out of, I'm sure.
So this is this is not actually a game, right? It's just a promo for the movie. Is that what I'm seeing here?
It's Epic's Unreal Engine 5 tech demo.
Oh, okay.
And so like pause right there.
Yeah.
Both of those Keanus are real-time rendered on the PS5. They're not video.
Man. PS5. Okay, I can kind of see it now that it's frozen.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I hit play. Wait, he's a render?
So the first one was render, and that's a real one.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a render. It's wild. I think if you go further in, this is all real time too. It just looks good. They're just showing off their tech, but like it's fucking rad.
Wow, that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll ever graduate to the point of making games that are like this, but it would be cool, right?
Well, so I think that's part of it is that the entire city's geometry is like procedurally generated with their like package that they offer, where it's like, do you want to make some buildings? Like, we're going to generate you a shit ton of buildings.
How much of this is AI generated? I wonder. Like like games are now mixing a ton of AI like procedural generation.
Yeah, it's unclear. It lets you when you get past the sort of like shooty bits and get to the free roam mode, you can actually turn on and off the it's doing like AI smoothing, and you can see it sort of like you can see it doing like distance 4K upres.
Toggle mass AI visualization.
Oh yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
San Francisco?
I think it's like supposed to be San Francisco-esque.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, but it's impressive.
All right, I will. Maybe this is the first thing I will play.
It's like it's a good 10-minute distraction. And
oh yes, and then every game has to have a terrible driving part, right?
Oh yeah. It can't run over 30 frames per second. It's like super not performant.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is Howard Street, is it not?
It's like where the slack. It's close. Is.
Yeah.
It's close. Yeah.
Of course, she still has the kind of weird computer character walk.
Oh man, that is killing me in Assassin's Creed. Eivor walks like they have a stick up their ass all the time. I'm just like, you should have mocap someone better.
Are you playing Fem Eivor or Dude Eivor?
Fem.
Okay.
Yeah. Dude Eivor seemed more boring. I think this story is way more interesting this way.
Yes. Yeah. I think there's most games I can think of where there's like a choice between those. Like Fem Shepherd was way better than Dude Shepherd, right?
Way better though. I did have Dude Shep. My Dude Shep was great.
Sure. I mean, I had Dude Shep. I think when could you choose? Could you choose every game or just the?
I think you could choose every game. Yeah. At some point, they like reconstructed you between games. Like I think you blew up at the end of one and got rebuilt at the start of two.
Yeah, I played Fem Shepherd, I think Mass Effect 2, and I was kind of shocked at how much more I was like into the Shepherd character as a result.
Yeah, she's a better actor.
She's great.
Yeah,
she's great. And then like Fem, what's her name? Cassandra in Assassin's Creed Odyssey is like way better than the Dude.
Also way better. Yeah. Given the choice, I mean, I feel like I've just played enough dudes in video games that like it still feels novel to me, and like I'm just like, oh cool, like I'm getting like a slightly different story experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like if you're a dude and you get a chance to act as a woman, it's just like, yeah, it's a novel experience. Why not take it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna take it into the Matrix.
Yeah, enter the Matrix or whatever the game is called.
Awesome. All right.
It's dumb.
Thanks, everybody.
It's dumb. Preface that. It's awful.
Thanks everybody for watching the stream, and then this was a good time. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow.
All right. Take it easy.
All right. See you, Switch.